Hi, everybody. This is a new episode of the Power of Three podcast. That's the new name, the Power of Three. Do you like it?
Very much so.
Thank you. So I'm really, really excited to be here with Gilad, who is going to tell us a bit about himself. He's today the CRO of DealHub, which is very exciting, and congratulations. This is a quite recent.
Thank you.
But before that, you were doing partnerships and sales roles and a whole bunch of interesting stuff. So thank you to Google for Startups for hosting us today here in their studio. This is a very important episode, and I hope that if people who are not in partnerships see this episode, so if you're in sales as SDR, as an AE, as a VP sales, join this conversation now because you're going to want to hear it. Will you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
So where do I start? I'm a lawyer in my past life, and I spent exactly 24 hours as a lawyer before I decided that that's not for me. And I joined a company called Clicktale over a decade ago. I did a few roles of SDR, sales, partnerships. I managed the business unit there. I tried to raise money to help the company survive when we hit a rough patch. But for most of my time there, I handled go-to-market. And the thing I'm most proud of from my Clicktale career is building the partner program. Middle of 2019, we sold the company to Contentsquare, a French-American company. I believe in the day of the merger, we were about 400 employees in the joint company with a few tens of millions in ARR. And today, Contentsquare, or at least when I left Contentsquare, it was about 2,500 people and in the hundreds of millions in ARR. We raised $1.3 billion, so it became a pretty big company.
Wow, it's a crazy journey to be on with the company. That's the fun thing about sticking around somewhere.
Yeah. I spent a decade in both companies, and now I joined DealHub, which, by the way, I was their customer twice.
Wow.
So, once in 2017. I still have the text messages. I'm waiting on some new features. When we merged with Contentsquare, then we dropped DealHub, and then we rejoined the DealHub family in 2022. So it was pretty cool to move to one of the vendors that I liked working with.
So interesting. I think salespeople, we get a real kick out of being like a customer also and just going through the sales process of different companies.
Yeah, it's a superpower. I have to tell you, going into meetings and saying, I know what you're going through. I've been in your shoes.
All right. I always really appreciate it if I get like a cold call or any SDR work or emails. I'm like, nice one, and like, keep going. You'll get there. It's going to be a good day, because you just know it is the hardest job, I think, today in the world is being a SDR or doing outbound. So
I have a rule, and I hope not too many SDRs are listening to this podcast, because then I'm going to be flooded, but I'll always pick up a call from an SDR and I'll always reply to an email or to a LinkedIn message unless I get something that is super spam. For instance, the other day I got the same exact personal message from two different SDRs from the same company that both said, it seemed to be personal, but it was the same message, and I realized it was an automation. I'm not going to respond to that, but otherwise I respond to every SDR, and I pick up the phone for every SDR that calls me.
It's amazing, because as everyone is using automation tools, of course you should be, you really have to be careful. Like, watch out, because I also get a ton of messages and I'm like, no one like reviewed this or anything. And you could just tell. I even got an email this week from someone at a really good company, and they by mistake left the beginning of like the GPT thing. Like, this version, 2 dots, and then the message. I was like, oh, cringe, man.
I have to admit, I did write a few posts using GPT, and I'm not going to do that anymore on LinkedIn. People just... I don't know if the algorithm sniffs it out or people sniffs it out, but people don't read it really. So I sit down the old way and invest and write my posts.
It's really interesting you say that. I'm a bit going through a LinkedIn breakdown, to be honest, because I managed to keep up, and I was like really invested in posting nearly every day during the week, and it was taking up like an hour and a half of my time. And I kept being told by people, use this tool, automate the post, but it didn't feel right. And I like really feel uncomfortable posting stuff that isn't really me, or that I don't connect with that day, that moment. Like, I can't plan ahead what I'm going to want to say to people on Wednesday.
People don't really react to it the same. Like I'm not getting not exposure and not reactions.
But I see people's posts do work, and they're clearly using either someone's writing it for them, but whatever.
I don't know. It comes with the same format, right? The same emojis. It's
It's true, especially in the partnership space, by the way.
Yeah.
It's very easy to see like the same curated content. And when it comes to sales and partnerships, there are the things that everyone recycles and talk about. And then there is stuff that no one's talking about. So that is why moving into our conversation, there's a few things that are really important for me to touch on with you today. So let's get straight to it, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
You shared just now about your professional journey. So it's the first thing I'll touch on because it's super interesting, not about how you got the job and things like that. But you managed to come from a sales role to a partnership role to a sales role. Personally, and I'm sorry for the partnership peoples who hear this, I think that if you want to be successful in partnerships, then the goal is to be a revenue leader. Like even if your job title is going to be chief channel, whatever, you want to be generating revenue. That is the value. So what was it with like the board and the CEO and the executives that you had to go through the hiring process with at DealHub that showed you that like, oh my God, they're really invested in this, not only direct and outbound go-to-market, but also the partnership side of it? Like, where did it even come from that they liked that about your experience?
Honestly, I think that's what got me the job. So I knew the CEO from before. We've been speaking for years, but at the end of the day, the board members that interviewed me when we talked about it, they said, and I truly believe it, that the way to take this market, the CPQ, CLM, the whole quote to cash, quote to revenue market, is through partnerships. It's not through a direct motion. And don't get me wrong, we have a great direct motion. I'm not planning to terminate the direct motion. I'm going to grow it, but I am going to accelerate partnerships a lot faster than I am with the direct motion, understanding that that is what's going to take this company to be, $1 billion and then billions of dollars of company. So this is probably the reason why I got the job was partnerships. It wasn't the opposite.
So it's really interesting. So one of the first things you probably had to, think about on when you start the new job is where you want to invest your resources. Because you've got the different motions. Again, you've got the direct team, you've got the outbound team, you've got this partnerships motion. Traditionally, most VP sales and CROs leave the partnerships till the last. They'll get whatever's left over. So how do you now look at that? Like, how do you know how much you're going to have to invest in this to make it work?
Well, I built 2 partner programs before, and I kind of know what I need from an infrastructure standpoint. And I also was at a company that scaled very, very fast. What I've seen there and where we failed is where we scaled without building the right infrastructure. It all collapsed and we had to let a lot of people go and rebuild. And, it's the same story everywhere. So here, even though I want to accelerate partnerships quickly, for instance, my biggest first hire was actually someone who's going to do partner enablement and partner success. Someone I know from before, but someone to help me take the partners from after you sign them to actually building a DealHub business around them and helping them go to market with us. At the end of the day, what people invest in 9 times out of 10 is they're like, oh, partnerships is just another SDR on steroids, right? We're going to get them. They're going to get us leads. Maybe they're going to get us some services. I don't know. But they don't actually invest in building a business for your partners and thinking about their business case, like what's in it for them. If you think about that, you're going to accelerate your revenue very, very fast. So the first thing I wanted to do and I wanted to invest in is make sure that the partners that we do have, we help them build a business, we help them build a practice. We make sure that they're enabled and they can actually provide services on everything that we do, and that we answer the what's in it for them and help them build a business line around it. If they actually have predictable revenue from DealHub, they will start selling my product instead of me selling my product.
Okay, I love it. So first of all, that first hire, obviously you knew that before, which is great, but you needed to find someone who's basically a business development specialist who can do not only like the sourcing, making sure that these are the right companies to work with, but build that whole business case together. So you have to start small and focus on, one partnership, get it up and running. Second partnership, is that kind of how the motion worked?
So it's a bit different because I joined the company that already has partnerships, and we have a great head of partnerships, Sam. He's doing a great job, and he had a very, very small team with him. We made some changes there, but he has another guy, Ellie, on his team, and a partner development manager that we recently made a change there. So it's a relatively small team right now, and we are recruiting, by the way, if anyone's listening to this podcast, for a strategic alliances manager for HubSpot and Microsoft. So I'm using this as a advertisement.
Yeah, please.
Even though it's a Google campus, I'm sorry. But that missing piece was, yes, we're getting these partners, we're getting them onboarded. Now they actually need to see value. The biggest risk that you can do is get a lot of people who are focused on just on pipeline and miss the mark. Gets 10 new partners and only one of them is performing. I'd rather get 3 that all 3 of them are performing and then move there.
It's really interesting. We spoke right at the beginning of my journey into the world of partnerships, coming just from sales. I'd always done direct and outbound sales, never worked in partnership role at all. Then was selling with partnerships, and that's how I got into it. You were one of the first people I was told you should speak to Gilad. So it was Eran Rosenblum. He was the number one up and coming partnership person that I met at the beginning of the day. And then we spoke earlier. And even in this last year and a bit, so much has changed within how different organizations are hiring, are building their infrastructure, are becoming more efficient. So looking forward, I mean, obviously everyone wants smaller teams now. You want to automate as much as you can. Is there anything specific in partnerships that you're going to try and DealHub to like systematically build so that it can run smoothly but low touch if possible?
Well, I'll say I think the biggest changes that companies are seeing right now, and I'm sorry that I'm taking the question in a different direction, and Contentsquare went there as well, is the whole attribution piece. I think for years we were focused on sourced versus influenced and how that all plays out. Contentsquare today does just attachment. And the same thing is, that's what we're doing at DealHub. At the end of the day, I'm trying to make sure I reward good behavior. And I want my partners to help me grow my revenue. And any motion that they do to grow my revenue is a motion that helps me. When you ask about automation, there's a few automation tools in the market. But from my experience, there is no such thing as low touch. Again, if you're selling an SMB product and you have an affiliate network that's completely self-serve in your product, then yes. If we're talking about mid-market and above and enterprise partnerships, there's not really anything that is low touch unless you build strong foundations for the partnerships. What do I mean? If you take a partner and you enable them and you fill their pipe in the beginning and you build a business that is sustainable and is running, you probably will only need to continue enabling them and making sure they're updated, etc. But they're going to run their own services business on top of your software, and you can have that as a low-touch business. But you have to have some sort of ongoing management, whether it's human-based with a partner sales manager or automated in a certain way with a cadence of emails and events and webinars and product updates, etc., etc. You just have to maintain that relationship.
Yeah, on the service piece, I think something that a lot of companies that I meet who are newer and more like PLG type, they struggle to understand what they're really going to offer their partners other than sell the product for us because they don't have too many services to add on to it. The older tools that we've all used, we've been there where you have to have a very expensive and long onboarding process and you need someone to come and implement things. But what would you say to companies like that who it's a pretty simple tool and not too complicated to get another party involved in?
I would say that it's not a 0 or 1. So you have, I've always been the unlucky person in the middle, right? It's not that I have 0 services. It's not that I have a lot of services. I'm always, and even now at DealHub, I have an okay amount of services, not something to make it interesting for them, but also not something to make it not completely interesting. There's companies that you fill in the product gaps using services. We called it at Clicktale the human intelligence. Mm-hmm. So you need a lot of implementation. You need a lot of customizations. The 3 to 5x ratio on services on software that companies like the large system integrators, without using any names, absolutely love, and that is a very sustainable business for them.
Yeah.
And then there's services that are more 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1 that are less interesting for these companies. For the smaller companies, I would say you need to see who your partner is. If you're running an affiliate network, maybe a referral fee is fine. If you're generating any value for them, that is also good. For instance, if you find a way that by using your product you save efficiency on the way that they provide their service, then do that. We used to offer managed services with our offering. So website optimization services that companies offered without Contentsquare. With Contentsquare, we used to save them a lot of man hours. They could still charge the same amount, but they saved man hours. So it truly, I don't think I have a generic answer. It truly depends on your offering, and you'll need to sit in a room and think what's in it for them. Honestly, I would also do it with a partner who is willing to participate in the experiment.
It's kind of like a design partnership with the first partners.
Yeah. And I had a design partner at Clicktale. It was fun. Like I had one partner in the beginning where I worked with them. They were Japanese. We tried to figure out, how to work together, and I figured it out with them. Yeah. Not everything, but at least the beginning.
It's interesting, actually, on the note of design partnerships. It's something that came up before we were discussing. I think a lot of companies and professionals don't realize the potential out there when there are design partnership opportunities. So that means not partnership related in order to co-sell straight away, but when there are new technologies coming out that you can be the first to get your hands on if you're going to help them build it, or you're going to go to market together and things like that. It's another one of those many partnerships that people do it whether they realize it or not, but there isn't a clear playbook or content around it or a framework and things like that. And that's one of the things that I think today you've seen it through partnership leaders. Maybe we'll head into that now. So partnership leaders, if anyone watching hasn't heard of partnership leaders, if you have, and you should, any kind of partnership function in your company, there is a fantastic community called Partnership Leaders, which is run by Asher and Chris, and you were one of the very first founding members as well.
And Ty.
And Kelly. They're an amazing team. Honestly, for me, they were like the first door opening to the world of partnerships. So 3 years ago, I went to Denver. It was me and Iran. We were the only people coming from Israel to Partnership Leaders, and I was able to meet there hundreds of amazing professionals from fantastic companies. Could you tell me a little bit about that? Like, what did that, for your career, what did that teach you? Or how does that help you grow? And why would you recommend that others get involved in communities that way?
So I'll say it's funny. I think that partnerships is an under-documented, under-taught, under everything profession, right? You go into sales, you can write sales on the internet and you'll find so many pages and you're like partnerships. And today the situation is not bad, but 10 years ago, it was even worse than it is now. And honestly, it's not the best now either. In Partnership Leaders,
this is a very honest and blunt.
Yeah.
It's
Partnership Leaders, they revolutionized the market, I would say. But when I started doing partnerships, I remember they told my first boss at Clicktale joined from Adobe, and he came up to me. I was then doing a bunch of things, and he said, "Hey, would you like to join me to build a partner program?" I was running that one partnership at the time, and I said, "Sure." I have no idea what that means though. And I remember asking myself throughout my journey when we were a company with 1,000 employees, asking myself, what do I do? Like, who do I speak with? How do I figure out how you do that? And one of the first people in partnerships I met was Chris Amilla. And
we're going to tag you, Chris.
Yeah, we're going to tag you in this post. And we became friends. We met. He moved to Australia. We met in Australia. And then he became my competitor, and we didn't speak for a while. And then he just sent me a message and said, "This is stupid. We need to get on a call." We got on a call. And I can't remember what it was about or why he sent it, but he was looking into a PRM system, and he sent an email to a bunch of people, which started a very interesting thread of discussion about which PRM to choose. And then he said, let's just move it to Slack. And we moved to Slack, and that started developing. And then Chris, Ty, and Asher took a small Slack group, which was first just, friends and friends of friends. and turn it into an empire, a paid community where people can actually learn how to be partnership leaders. They can learn about the best technology in the market. They can develop their skills, learn how to be partnership executive. You actually have someone to ask. I remember in the past, I didn't really have a lot of people to ask about this. So this community has done great things. But back then, if I go to my journey, by the way, when we became a 1,000-person company, it was kind of a big and scary deal. I reached out to it was a very, very minimal partnership leaders. It was really just friends. And I said, hey, does anyone know anyone who ran a partnership organization of a company this big? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. We'll connect you to this guy. I'm not going to say his name.
Another one.
But I jumped on a call with him. It was really funny. It's a very famous company today, like one of the biggest tech companies in the world. And he's kind of a big deal. And I was very, very excited to get on the call with him. And I can't remember who connected me to him, and I said, okay, now give me the secret sauce. Like, what do I do? How do I, I'm an executive in a 1,000-person company leading partnerships and sitting on the executive team. That's exciting. And he said, I have no clue. He's like, just do what you did when you were at a 200-person company and try things and make it work. But at least he gave me, and I was like, I have a serious imposter syndrome. And he's like, yeah, we all do. Don't worry about it. It's going to pass. Just ignore it and push through. And if you have any real questions, you can call me. And I was like, wow, this person who is like an industry veteran, who, it's a company today that has hundreds of thousands of employees, and I have his personal phone number. And then I realized in partnerships what I said about SDRs earlier, which is I never say no to people in partnerships to reach out to me. Not to consult, not to jump on a call, not to partner with them. We're a bunch of people in partnerships that all say yes. I think that was the foundation of partnership leaders. Mm-hmm. And I can always count on a partnership person to open the door for me in a company that I want to reach out to.
It's so funny because you even mentioned a couple of companies like Adobe who, as a salesperson in the past, to get in front of one of their VPs and to have a conversation and things would have been such a far goal. And at Partnership Leaders, the event that I went to, Catalyst, it's a massive event they do every year. I recommend it. I couldn't go this year, but it's great. I was able to meet those people and they were so open to having the conversations. They want to see what is it that you're building. We want to try it out. And there really is like this openness, this curiosity. I think there's a lot of people who really want to push it forward. And that's why, content is one of the things that we want to bring, because I want, just from looking at your story, I mean, when it comes to talent, there's still no science on who to hire to do partnerships. I mean, I get asked so often by like CEOs like, oh, we've made like 4 bad channel partnership head hires. What are we doing wrong? I don't know, buddy, but like, who's choosing them? Why? Based on what? And that's one of the things people ask that I think your story tells a lot too, and we've discussed now. I think also knowing which company is the right kind to do, different sizes, different kind of products is important as well. And now I want to ask you a bit about where you think it's going, because you've started this role at a really exciting time. I don't want to use the word AI because it's like using, air conditioning or internet. Most rooms have it already. But so much is changing for so many companies in their products, in their offerings, in their teams. Where do you see yourself taking the partnership part of the go-to-market strategy in DealHub? What's your vision?
It's funny that you say that. I built, a few years ago, someone asked me to come as a guest speaker once a semester to the course in one of the universities in Israel. So I built this course about partnerships, and it reminded me that partnerships is an ancient thing. I don't think AI is relevant more than, a tractor was relevant to early partnerships or to the McDonald's and Coca-Cola partnership, right? Like they've been there all over history. AI is just going to be another feature, or it might change how we do things. It's not going to change the concept that you need to partner, and you need to partner for a reason, right?
Okay. I'm going to challenge you on this.
Challenge me.
Okay, because I have now met many very large companies where the partnerships are very, very inefficiently managed. There's lots of decisions being made on gut feelings. There is no systematic way of growing and engaging with those partners. The data's there, but it's very partial. It doesn't talk to each other. The tools are not working well enough with each other. I mean, I can, list for you massive improvements that the teams that we've been able to work with have seen because we're using AI. Now, I'm not trying to promote her an AI company because AI is going to be and is already everywhere. But there must be things that you see could be more efficient when it comes to partnerships.
Oh, for sure. Don't get me wrong. You're not challenging me at all. I think AI is going to change the way we do things, but it's not going to change the essence. At the end of the day, if you're a car manufacturer and you partner with a tire company or you resell their tires, right? It's a partnership.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the fact that you need tires on the car, even if, the manufacturing process now becomes a lot more efficient when and I'm not using tech lingo on purpose, right? You improve manufacturing using AI and the car is 50% cheaper. You still need tires on the car. You still need to partner with them. You still need to partner with one of the chip companies to get all of the computers in the car. These are all partnerships.
You've got to manage the inventory. You've got to make sure that they're giving you the best price. You've got to make sure that you're choosing the right provider.
Exactly.
All those different things need to
Exactly. But at the end result is still the end result, right? Software companies will most likely still need services around them. It will still need, at least the enterprise ones, some customizations when you implement them because you're selling something that is not customized. And maybe AI will decrease the number of hours, right? And it's going to cost some of the large system integrators, they're going to have to cut back. But still, at the end of the day, you're going to have to solve the same problems. Yeah. You might just become more efficient. What you talked about, by the way, is very, very valid. I think that's identifying the opportunity, working internally and externally. These are all big topics to tackle.
Yeah, I like you say internally because we also discussed this in the past. But, I've come from it from an internal point of view. I wasn't a partnership person. It was really challenging working on a territory where there weren't good enough partners engaged, and I all of a sudden found myself talking to some of our partners and I grew really great relationships with them, and then they were like, hey, it's like the first time someone from the sales team is just reaching out as a friend and like we have this relationship. And I realized I've been like mocking these partners all this time and they've been sitting there, and that is pipeline, and that is growth, and that is upsell, and that is go to market. That's your marketing budget. You don't need to cry about marketing budget. You've got a partner there. Work together with them.
Oh, for sure. I think that was one of my things at Contentsquare is that I actually held an external budget. We used to get all the sponsorships for our CX Circle event, and also through joint marketing funds. I was pretty wealthy from that, above my regular budget through partnerships. I think that there's a few ways to do it, and it depends on the way you go to market, depends on your partnerships. But I love the fact that salespeople work directly with partners, right? At the end of the day, if a partnerships manager does their job right, they should be nothing more than facilitators. Build the go-to-market, build the offering, make connections. But at the end of the day, I would like the AE of this territory and the AE of that territory. I'll give you an example. We work closely with HubSpot, right? I want to make sure that my AE working the UK market and the HubSpot AE working the UK market know each other, refer opportunities to each other, etc. I just want to make sure that I write everything down, that I make sure that nothing slips, that I make sure that if someone made a mistake, that we correct it. A mistake could be cutting a partner out of a deal or giving a discount without coordinate. There's a lot of small things that you can do with partnerships that partnerships managers need to manage. But generally speaking, I love the fact that AEs work with AEs on the other side, and it's usually very similar personas, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look, they're the ones who are going to help you in your next job as well.
Yeah.
And they become like the best friends when you're at those same events and whatever in the industry. So they're the people that you're hanging out with. I love that. I also think it's really important to see the growth of business pods. Every company does this differently. That was traditionally, like a few years ago, everyone was doing, you have an SDR working with an AE, let's say, if it's an enterprise company, bring in a sales engineer if and when necessary for POCs, blah, blah, blah. But I do think it's really important to have synergy and work closely also with a partner within your pod. If you are an account executive and you haven't tried this till now, I would suggest you do try and do it. There's a lot of like fear and worry, and I get it, because like, why let someone else touch your deal? It just adds risk to it.
Oh, yeah. I I heard that a lot. I hear it now as well, right? Like, and what I say to them is just bring them on as early as you can, and then you're not going to risk your deal. And I actually it's a story I really like. There's never mind where and when, but I had a deal last quarter here at DealHub where we brought in a partner to provide the services, and the customer told us at the last day of the quarter, like really, they said, we're ready to sign with you. We are not going to sign. We don't want the services. And generally speaking, I try not to sell product without services, because I know that even though the product is pretty easy, there's a process of actually doing the business process and the ideation and how do you want to set it up and make sure that you set it up right. So I spoke with the partner, and the partner was already, on edge and said, yeah, you're going to screw me over, right? Because you have to get this deal in for the quarter. And I said, no, we'll figure a way. I got to the CEO of the prospect, and he said, there's no way I'm paying for services. I don't want it. And he was ready to throw the deal. And I went to my CEO and we put our heads together, and then we came back and said, listen, we're going to actually give you a quarter for free from us. Like, you don't have to pay for the subscription, but you take all of that money and you take the partner and you buy their services. So we didn't get to all of the services that the partner wanted to sell, and we funded it out of our pockets. And I have to tell you, it was absolutely worth it. One, the partner was very, very happy and appreciative. I don't think they were thinking that a company our size and scale will do that for them and not leave them hanging for, a nice size deal at the end of the quarter. The customer said, they're not after my money. They want me to succeed.
Want to succeed.
Exactly.
They actually want them to get the full value out of it.
And the AEs, not just the one that was working on the deal, but the AEs on the team, they see this behavior. And if they see the fact that I insisted and I came in and I said, and the one thing that came out of it is that I hopefully some of them are listening to this now, is to bring the partners in as early as possible. They'll actually help you close the deal 9 times out of 10. And you know what? If you have to sacrifice the deal because of a partner, it happens. We never, and even in Contentsquare, I never screwed over a partner, and a lot of them hopefully will be listening to this podcast, and they know that. We always paid them more than what we needed if there was any, misagreements, and I never screwed over a partner. It's a matter of personal brand.
I really love that. There's a saying, you can't lose what you don't have already, so
yeah.
I think I'm a very Sandler person. I don't know if you're familiar with Sandler sales. And what I love about the Sandler methodology and way of selling is that there's the pendulum. You're not forcing or trying to sell something to someone. You want to meet them in the middle. You want them to really get that value, to really have that successful experience. And if they don't have the pain or the needs or the means to follow through on that, you don't try and sell it because it's end of quarter. And I love how also you've really noticed how important having that extra third piece in is to make it a successful deal. Because in a year's time or 3 years' time, or amazingly 5 years' time, if you manage to close a 5-year deal, that partner is going to be the one to help upsell.
For sure. And not just that partner will go now and say, you know what, I can trust these guys and I'm going to get more deals in.
We're coming towards the end, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about the actual partner program, what you can share. Also in terms of for future partners, how, that you would like them to learn about what it is that you're offering as a partnership, and also for people to learn from how you're building it.
So we haven't launched the DealHub Partner Program yet. So that's exciting. We're working on it. Sam is leading the effort, and it's in final stages. At the end of the day, it's a very interesting market, and it's a market that's going through a lot of changes right now, big changes with players like Salesforce announcing the end of sale of their CPQ solution, and some of the smaller vendors being acquired by some of the larger vendors, some of them completely deprecating the product and launching something new that is out of our field. Yeah. We have a real opportunity here, and there's a big ecosystem of partners who have businesses that were not taking away from them because they still have it, but sort of got it taken away with the end of sale of Salesforce CPQ. and we're really planning to be there to fill that gap, and be the new player on the street. So if you're a revenue operations hub and looking for a good partner to sell with, come to us. I really I'm making a big effort there to make sure that our partner have the best enablement, the best partner success, and also the business itself. We have no interest. This is quite unique. I've never joined. I haven't joined so many startups, right? But but I've seen a lot of startups, and I've advised a lot of startups, and a lot of them care a lot about the revenue ARR, or not ARR, the revenue. Some of them count it as ARR, and a lot of them care about revenue from services. Got confused. We actually don't. I'm happy to take, and this is a big statement, I'm happy to take all of the services revenue that we have tomorrow and give it to the right partner who is going to provide, excellent service to our partners. We're not interested in that at all, and it's a pretty unique approach by our CEO, and one that I am sure is going to accelerate this partner program very, very, very fast. Something that was always an uphill battle for me, both at Clicktale and at Contentsquare.
Yeah, wow, that's really interesting. I am definitely also noticing that a lot of companies, again, because of the efficiency and because of the savory cash and all the changes going on in businesses and not wanting to just raise money and then hire, if that isn't your focus and like you don't need to be doing the services, then share them with others who are going to help your business grow. It's kind of a no-brainer, but again, unless you've gone through the experience like you have or learned it a tough way, it's hard to actually put your money where your mouth is and commit to it like that.
And for some of them, I get it, right? A lot of startups are using the services to kind of cover product defects or product gaps. A lot of them are counting on the revenue to keep the company alive for now. So I get that not everyone can afford to do that, but if you are building a startup, my recommendation to you is from day one, don't grow that business too much. It can get out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Gilad, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation
Likewise.
with you, and it's been a treat to have you here. Thank you again for also your help at the beginning. As a founder of a company, you always remember those people who were, open to getting on a call and offering advice and giving feedback early on, and you were one of them. So thank you again.
Of course, anytime.
And the exciting thing from here is I want to open up and start doing more, content like this with other partnership leaders and CROs and whatever online abroad. So you're kind of helping me bridge over to there, and I love what you are a part of there as well.
Thank you for having me.
Great.